Geetson, here. Hoskins.
Here.
O'Connor.
Here.
Randalls. Here. Ross. Slade.
Present.
Baker.
Here.
Balb.
Here.
President Lanier.
Present. We have an agenda before us. Need a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Support. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Good. We have an agenda, and it's plenty full for this evening. We will get started with celebrations. As many of you can see, Mrs. Neal is not with us this evening. She had a family emergency, and so she is actually out of the office today and will not be with us. And please keep her family in your thoughts and prayers as they are going through a personal illness with her mother at this time. But we do have with us Mrs. Evans, our Deputy Superintendent, and she will be filling in for Mrs. Neal this evening. So we'll turn it over to you for the celebrations.
Thank you, President Lanier and members of the board. We have 3 celebrations this evening. The first has to do with the Central High School 150th celebration. This committee has spent numerous months and hours planning. The celebration was a historical event for our community and a point of pride. I would like to ask John Helmholtz and the planning committee to come forward, and he will provide for us an overview of the event and introductions.
Sure. If we have enough chairs for all the members of the committee, would all the members of the committee just stand first? Okay. And this is Jim Hall, who chaired this committee. We've been meeting since September, almost August of last year. And so this group single-handedly put together an event with over 1,000 event goers and the dedication of the auditorium and to our famous, most famous Central High graduate, Betty Bloomer Ford. And it's just our honor to say thank you. This was pure voluntary work. They certainly kept us on our toes, but it was a high-quality event, one that we would have a hard time duplicating, but certainly have a lot to learn from as we look at future events to celebrate anniversaries of our schools. So, Jim, do you want to say a few words?
I want to publicly thank John Helmholtz for putting up with us. He did an incredible job. He's right. We had him going through you. And these ladies that are here and gentlemen literally spent not dozens, hundreds of hours leading up to what they did. Some of them, I think they ate and breathed this event for 6 or 8 months. So I can't thank them enough. They did an incredible job. They're the ones who really pulled it off. So but we had a great time. We had a lot of people show up. So thank the board for letting us do it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from members of the board? Ms. Geetson?
I'd like to thank you guys for all your hard work. I have heard from so many people in the community about this event. People that aren't traditionally allies of Grand Rapids Public Schools. I think you re-energize some people around GRPS in this process. I don't know that was your intent, but we're very grateful that you succeeded in doing so. So thank you for all your hard work.
Dr. Fowle?
I would like to echo the same. I live in here to chill, and it was very exciting, and I deeply regret being unable to attend. But thank you.
For those who may be interested, on cable channel 27, as well as on the district website and the YouTube player, you can watch the program. It was a little over an hour. Great speeches, captured the many generations of alumni, and of course you had President Ford's nephew, Dr. Greg Ford, was there for the unveiling of the plaque to rename the auditorium. And of course we had the Central High graduation just just recently that is also on Channel 27. So for the board as well as the viewers and those that are listening, tune in. It's a really heartwarming program because it really captures the legacy, the tradition, the history that's come alive again thanks to the work of this committee and those alumni who, like Jane said, helped bring it back to life again. And there's a lot of excitement around that building and that campus right now. So thank you. Thanks is all to you.
Thank you. Next.
Okay. The Graham has been a buzz in our district for 2 years, going on 3 years. It is a collaboration between the Grand Rapids Arts Museum and Grand Rapids Public Schools Language Arts Department. It combines arts experiences at the Public Museum with writing and reading. On May 16th, there was a huge celebration, and the teachers, the coaches, and students of our district all were invited to view pieces of writing and art at the Graham. Here today to share the details of this project is Mr. Brian Gam, who will in turn introduce some of the teachers, coaches, and members of the planning committee.
Deputy Superintendent Evans, President Lanier, and board members, thank you. The purpose of our being here tonight is to celebrate the partnership between Grand Rapids Public Schools and the Grand Rapids Art Museum. The partnership is an innovative one, both in the organizational end as well as in the clear connection to content and the integration between the arts and the writing. Our third grade students were targeted, and we're actually having some wonderful conversation about expanding that program to other grades as well. I'd like to get right to it and formally thank John Carfagno, who's our the education director for the Grand Rapids Art Museum, as well as Mitch Watt, who's the president of the board of trustees. And if I may also kind of formally recognize and maybe ask to stand Mary Lupe, Patty Betts, and Jim and Mary Nelson, who also were key supporters in this work. And just before I turn it over to Mr. Watt, I also just like to recognize the work that Lynn Woods did as our curriculum coordinator, as well as former executive director of the elementary division, Dr. Maida Gunnell, for all the work that took place under under her tenure. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mitch.
Thanks, Brian. On behalf of the Grand Rapids Art Museum, we're so happy that you've carved out a little bit of time on your agenda tonight to hear a little bit more about our partnership that we value so much with Grand Rapids Public Schools. Tonight also, in addition to our board members, Dana Fries-Hansen, our director, is here, as well as a number of our staff members, so they're happy to be here to celebrate with us tonight. I'd like to convey our sincere appreciation to the Grand Rapids Public Schools Board of Education for allowing us the ability to have this partnership. We value it, and it's been a successful year. Our program, Language Artists, Creature Connections, is our third grade unit of study, and we feel it's a groundbreaking collaboration between Graham, the Kendall College of Art and Design, and most importantly you, the Grand Rapids Public Schools, which positions our art from Graham's collection at the core of building essential literacy skills. These include dexterity with descriptive language, compare, contrast, conflict resolution, and structure of narrative. Graham believes very strongly in the central role that art plays in rigorous and transformative learning across all areas of the curriculum, not only for third graders, but for students of all ages and all subject areas. We strive to create programming and educator resources that promote student achievement while providing access to the singular learning that can occur when students are exposed to the art in the collection at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. Our team is so grateful for all of the efforts of your central office team, particularly Brian Gam, Lynn Woods, and Jesus Solis, They've worked very hard and diligently to assist us in reaching third graders from every single school in your district, and we're quite proud of that. It's a personal commitment of mine, and when John came on board, I made that very clear to him that we wanted to continue to expand our reach to reach more and more students, because I feel that that's a central core of our mission to make sure that we're educating and spreading the good word that art can have to students as well as to our entire community. So with that, it's our personal commitment to continue this. We look forward to an outstanding year. It's also a shared vision by our board and our staff to work hard as we look forward to continuing the opportunities to promote powerful, art-centered learning for the students of Grand Rapids Public Schools. So now, more importantly, I'm going to turn it over to John to spell out a little bit more about what we've been able to achieve in the last year.
I'm going to try to do that as briefly as possible. Can everyone hear me? And I will start. A lot has been said about how this is a collaborative program, and throughout this entire process, from the inception in the pilot year to now the close of our second year in action, we have benefited so greatly from the expertise of Dr. Cindy Todd from the Kendall College of Art and Design. And unfortunately, Cindy couldn't be here tonight because she's leading a very lucky group of students through Europe. And Barbara Wissey, who is a longtime educator and now central office consultant to the district for English and language arts. We could not have done this without them. Truly, this has transformed our third grade school tour program. And this process began as early as mid-September of this year, when the literacy coaches, principals, and classroom educators and art educators came to Graham for professional development. That night, they received curriculum resources such as the Seek and Find activity, which encourages the students to read this text here and then search for visual clues to identify the object that is featured. Nothing made us happier than when they came into the Graham galleries and we heard them shout out, "That's Alexander Calder's blunt-tailed dog." They knew the works of art and they were ready to connect. I'm going to talk a little bit now, too, about the Graham visit and give a nod to our docents, who we could not have done this without. The docents learned new instructional strategies designed to enhance the teaching and learning of compare and contrast, beginning, middle, and end, conflict resolution, and descriptive language. And we see the students up there reaching into a texture box where they're identifying what they're feeling, describing it to their partner, so collaborative learning, and building bridges back to a print by John James Audubon that we can't see. So now I'm going to hand the floor over to Barb Wissey. I mentioned that Barb is not only a dear friend to Graham, but one of the most passionate and talented educators I know, and she is going to walk us through what the students did in the classroom, and then we're going to hear from them, the stars of tonight.
Here's the remote. Let me give that to Chris.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about the art lesson and the language arts lessons, but I'd be remiss if I didn't start by just saying real quickly, and I'll be brief, that brain research, and Cindy Todd, who is not here, is the spokesperson for this part of it, so in her absence, I felt I needed to say this. Brain research has shown the strong partnership between visual and language arts and the powerful way that it impacts teaching and learning. Much the same way that music and math go together, visual arts and language arts are a perfect fit. Language Artists has been based on this premise, and as I briefly describe the visual arts and the language arts lessons, keep in mind this dynamic pairing and the appeal that it has for children. Also, be assured that the lessons were based on Common Core state standards that, according to data, have proven to be challenging for our students. This unit of study gives teachers and students an opportunity for rigorous practice with such skills as cause and effect, problem solution, and compare and contrast. So let's talk about the art lesson. Right after the Graham field trip, which John talked about, the pre-visit activities and the activities that the children do when they're at the art museum, they engage in the art lessons immediately upon returning to school, which take from 2 to 4 weeks in their art classes. Students create an original creature from 2 known animals. As much media as the art teacher can gather is used in addition to basic watercolor and collage. The more details, the better, since this will serve as the model to support their writings. Some of the criteria for the art composition include the creature's characteristics show a connection between its biological needs and the ability to survive in the habitat. So we've taken a little bit of science, and some of the teachers have run with this and done a lot more with habitat. But if the creature swims, it should have gills, so that it must be able to survive in the habitat it chooses. The picture includes a foreground, middle ground, and background. Atmospheric perspective is used to increase the illusion of depth. Real and implied texture is used. So it's not just create an animal and write about it. It's really quite a rigorous criteria-based study. When the composition is finished, it goes to the classroom to serve as the model for the 2 writing assignments. The first writing assignment is a third-person narrative that includes some of the following criteria. The creature is given a name. There is a clear beginning, middle, and end. The writing includes clear conflict and resolution. And may I just add that in some cases, as you will hear tonight, this is used to great dramatic effect. Conflict and resolution is really kind of cool for the kids. Writing includes clear details and rich description of the physical characteristics of the creature and other characters in the story, their habitat, including what the creature eats, the creature's actions, the creature's thoughts and feelings, and the use of dialogue, all 3rd grade Common Core state standards. The second writing assignment is the compare and contrast piece, where they compare their work to one from the Graham field trip. The criteria for this includes, they must include at least 3 similarities and 3 differences, comparing their work to the one from Graham. Rich description referencing the senses. The writing demonstrates knowledge of artistic styles and artistic vocabulary. Each school was encouraged to have an end of the unit school celebration, so every student would have the opportunity to read their writings and display their works of art for invited guests. So every school celebrated their children at their school. Then each school was asked to choose 2 finalists meeting all the criteria to attend the celebration at Graham. On May 16, those students and their families, teachers, principals, and coaches attended the big celebration at Graham, where all the finalists' works were on display, as you can see, and a photograph at the bottom of all of the finalists. From those 50-some students, 2 were selected to present their works and writings to the entire gathered audience. And those 2 finalists happened to be here tonight to read their writings and show you their art compositions. It's all good and well to hear from the adults how great a project is, but the proof is in the pudding. So here are the stars of the evening. They're going to start by reading their stories first, and then they will read their compare-contrast, and you will see their works of art in front of you, and then when they read their compare-contrast, you'll see their work next to the Passenger Pigeons by Lumen Cross, so you'll be able to see the 2 side by side. Our first finalist, who is going to read her story and compare-contrast, is from Dickinson Elementary. Her name is Isis Elner. Let's get that microphone up close so we can hear you.
Hello, hi, my name is Isis Elner, and I'm going to read my narrative. Hello, my name is Haley, and I'm a catbird. I have a head like a cat and a body like a bird. My head is reddish and my body is greenish with a little light green. My ears are fluffy and my body is feathery. It doesn't look like it, but I can fly with my wings. I live in the trees of California. I eat cat food with ferns on top. I play with my friends all day long. I sleep in the day and am awake at night. I travel all over California because I like an adventure. You can see me going from tree to tree, looking for my friends. When I find them all, we play tag at night. When my friends and I are too loud, people and other animals get mad at us and say, stop playing around. Haley is mad today because one of her friends, Kaylee, stole her birdhouse and flew away with it. I told my friend Bailey if I catch her, I will beat her down and that will be paybacks. I found my birdhouse in a tree and took off with it. Kaylee was inside cooking. Kaylee was cooking inside the birdhouse, and it was moving all around. Kaylee looked out the door and saw me flying with the house. She said, "Would you stop moving my house? This is my place, not yours." I said, "You stole this from me, and I'm getting it back." I kept shaking the birdhouse so Kaylee would leave. She finally flew away, and when she passed me, she smacked me upside my head. I yelled, "Mommy, someone hit me." I got my house back after all of that. My stomach was growling. I said, "I'm hungry. I need to find some food." So I went to find some food. I was going to find worms and cat food. That's my favorite. After my meal, I lay down and watched TV because it was a rough day. Now I'm going to read my compare and contrast. When looking at my catbird animal picture and the bird's eye view of passenger pigeons nesting by cross, I saw that they had similar characteristics. I saw that my animal has a body of a bird, and the pigeons are also birds. My animal and the pigeons both spend a lot of time in the trees. Another similar thing is that my catbird and the pigeons have to fly to find their food. There's a lot more birds in the bird's eye view compared to my catbird. The painting looks more realistic and my picture looks more abstract. The environment of the bird's eye view looks rough and dry compared to my catbird's moist and tropical environment.
Wow. Isn't that great? Awesome job. Thank you, honey. Our second finalist from Harrison Park Elementary is Lauren Babb. Do you want to hold the microphone? That might be easier. Does it come on? Yes.
Hi, my name is Lauren Babb from Harrison Park School.
Oh, right up to your mouth, honey.
"Oh no," said Shelley with a frown. "Where are all of the fish?" Shelley was a small turtle mixed with a bird. One of her friends came by. "Don't worry, I'm sure they're just hiding because of the storm," said Elliot, a small purple fish. They lived in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. "We have to go back to our burrows," said Elliot. "Why?" questioned Shelley. "Because the waves are getting rough out here," replied Elliot, "and our moms are cooking jellyfish soup." Yum, thought Shelley. They were halfway to their burrows when they saw something just floating there. "What kind of animal is that?" "It has got lots of fish in it, so it can't be that dangerous." "It's not an animal," said Elliot. "It's a net." "No, it's not," laughed Shelley. "But what if it is?" Elliot exclaimed. "It's not," said Shelley. "It's not, trust me," said Shelley. "Wait, please don't go," said Elliot, but she was already gone. Then Elliot remembered he had a book called Fish Catchers, and he read aloud, "My resource, it can help us figure this out." He turned to page 16 and he read that this is a picture of a net. Fishermen use this to catch underwater animals. "Oh no, I must warn Shelley before it's too late." He zoomed through the water as fast as a cheetah, running through the jungle trying to catch its prey. "Shelley, stop, it's very, very dangerous." Shelley stopped and heard him say, "Look, I know how to set all the fish free from the net. I will use the laser beams in my eyes." So she focused the beams on the net. All the fish scattered happily under rocks and into caves. "Okay, let's go home now." So they went home and ate supper. Just because you are small doesn't mean you can't do big things. Compare and contrast. The passenger pigeons and the birdtle are similar because they both fly with wings. The animals are also alike because both of them lay complex eggs and neither of them are, and also they like to eat delicious insects. Passenger pigeons and the birdtle are different because the birdtle is half bird but the pigeons are whole birds. The birdle likes to live in the water but the pigeons live on land. They are different because the Birdtul's lay eggs in the sand and pigeons lay eggs in nests. So these are some ways that they are different.
Thank you very much, Lauren. I know we're going a little long, so I just wanted to let everyone know that our gratitude to Lauren and Isis is going to be expressed in a gift bag that is coming from our education team that has the 2 mentor texts that they used in the class prior to their grand field trip. And then Katie and Christopher, 2 of the key members of our education team, are about to distribute a copy of the calendar that was distributed to all of the people who participated at the May 16th wrap-up celebration. The calendar features student examples from this year's unit of study, so we hope that you'll hang that in your office and think about language artists. And we've also included some tickets for you to come back to see the exhibition of the student work that's going to be on view at Graham until our prize. So you have plenty of time to come in and check it out. All the stories are there, and they're a ton of fun to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Heard any questions or comments, Dr. Fall?
Well, I was lucky enough to be there on the 16th, and what these slides didn't show very well, and even the calendar, was how dynamic the artwork was on the page. It really was. I'm not just saying that. It really, really was. I lingered and lingered. I was just going to make a quick stop in and out, and I stayed for an hour. It was so engaging, and the energy of the children and their parents, but also the number of educators that were there that night. It was really impressive. It was really exciting to see the energy coming together. And I also had a 3rd grader. He wasn't one of the winners, but he loved the exercise. It was really fantastic. So nice job, Isis and Lauren. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us that night, and thank you to all the educators in the GRPS community for this opportunity.
Any other questions or comments? Kevin Hoskins?
Just wondering, are any of their parents or guardians or grandparents, anyone with them tonight? We want to acknowledge them if they are.
Acknowledge the parents of the students. If you can please stand so that you can be congratulated.
Family members.
Parents and guardians.
Family members.
Thank you. Great work. Very nice. Item?
Superintendent, Board President Lanier, I am very excited and honored to be able to introduce longtime supporters of Grand Rapids Public Schools. They are the East Hills Council of Neighbors, and going to ask them to come forward along with John Helmholtz. Just wanted to mention that they are an example of collaboration at its finest. Congress Elementary has benefited immensely from this partnership.
Well, that was about as good of an introduction as anyone could give, so I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to turn it over to our friends here. Why don't you introduce yourselves and give them your titles, because I'm not sure if I know all of those. But I would just say, you know, the East Hills Partnership has been blossoming for a long time, but we've seen a whole new level of interest and engagement that is a model that we're looking to duplicate elsewhere in the district, and it's in part thanks to these 2 fine individuals here. And I know Bridget Shawnee. Is Bridget here too? Bridget, why don't you come down? Bridget's the principal of Congress Elementary who's helping to facilitate this.
We won't take up time while Bridget's coming down here. I'm Rebecca Smith-Hoffman. I'm the chairperson of the Board of Directors of the East Hills Council of Neighbors. This is Claire Fisher, who is our organizer. You, of course, know Bridget. We are here initially to present an award to Miss Neal. She missed our annual awards ceremony, which is where we honor the women of East Hills. Not to leave you guys out or anything, but for the last 35 years, it's really been women who have provided the energy for what East Hills, what the neighborhood has become today. And we decided about 3 years ago that they should start getting some credit for that. And Bridget was one of our honorees, and she was able to attend. Ms. Neal was not, and so we thought we would give it to her, the award tonight, but we'll, unfortunately, she can't be here, and we'll leave it, and I'm sure that you can make sure that she gets it. We honored Bridget and the superintendent for their enthusiastic support of our efforts at Congress School. I've been in this for, I hate to think, 35 years. Time flies when you're having fun. And Congress has always been a focus of our neighborhood. And I'm sure you've all heard the term the tipping point, and we feel that in our neighborhood we have reached that. Our business districts are booming. Young people are moving into the neighborhood and buying houses. I think that people who are living there now are deciding to stay. Every time I walk in the neighborhood, there are more baby carriages, strollers, I guess, baby carriages, the old term. They're all high-end strollers now. I have a pram. So, but what we want to do is keep those parents with those children in Congress School and living in the city, and add to the dynamic vitality that we are seeing in the neighborhood today. We have a very integrated neighborhood. We have all kinds of people. We have all kinds of income groups, and we think that having all of those children together in that school is going to be the future of our neighborhood school. And we have a wonderful principal there now, and we're working very hard together to make the future happen, and we thank you all, not just the superintendent, but all of you for your support of our work. And Claire's going to briefly describe just a few of the things that we're doing right now.
And Rebecca covered so much of this. However, just wanted to reiterate our strong partnership and thank especially John and Bridget, who have done so much to build this communication partnership. And we couldn't be more excited as a neighborhood association. We have residents who are so like jazzed about this partnership. And in February, we really kicked off in a more formal way. Mrs. Lanier was there, the East Hills meet and greet, East Hills Loves Congress meet and greet. And it's essentially a way to get people in the beautiful buildings, see the wonderful faculty, the great principal, the great kids, and the wonderful space that is in our neighborhood. In fall 2012, we're going to kick off, we have been building since that point in February, a volunteer skill set survey, essentially having our residents tell us how they would like to volunteer, and essentially on an as-needed basis, Bridget can tell us, we need supplies this day, we need tutors for this, we need that, and the other, you know, what have you. And really, this is going to be a way that we can help as a neighborhood association give back to the neighborhood school that gives us so much. So we feel they give us so much, and it's an invaluable asset to our neighborhood. It's a walkable school, great faculty, great principal, and so on. And we are just so excited to give as much as we can and create a wonderful partnership. So thank you guys so much for hearing us out. And fall 2012, I believe we might be coming back in here to kind of let you know the kickoff of the volunteer database that we're creating, and really want to continue that. So thank you so much.
Any questions or comments? Dr. Baker?
Yeah, I have to say I'm really impressed with this work, and I get to go. I came to this late. I started seeing these East Hills Lives Congress, and so I've caught the last 2 or 3 meetings. Johanna is good at prodding people to get there, and so so it's just an incredible model, and that we need to if we're taking ownership of the schools, and so that Congress is a community institution, and you guys have set the model for what it is, and I appreciate getting ice cream sandwiches when I show too. So thanks.
Ms. Heaton?
I too want to thank you for all your work. It's models like this that we need to deploy throughout our city and will save our city schools. It takes a village, and our kids are only in school a certain number of hours a day. They're living in the communities that you are supporting the other hours that they're not in that school. And that's what it takes to make this all work. So thanks for all your efforts.
Thank you so much.
I would just point out that in addition to the interim superintendent, she now has the title of Goddess of the Universe.
Wow.
In the center of the Eunice.
Right.
And just before anything ends, I almost forgot Johanna Jelks, who is right in the audience. She is just a champion for parent engagement and volunteer building, and has done an ungodly amount to help really spearhead East Hills Loves Congress. I don't want to forget to mention that. So thank you.
I just want to quick say, I love your passion. I love your vision. I love that you want those windows opened up. I love that you love the railings and the hooks and the children of that school. And I love that you believe in Grand Rapids Public Schools. That's really, really exciting, and appreciate it.
One little bit of history. I'm now researching Congress School for our historic designation, and I found out that in 1902, Congress School was designated as the first official city playground, and it had its first public playground program there in 1902, and we hope in the near future to bring that back there again.
Great.
Thank you.
Is that wrapping up your celebrations? Okay, great. Don't have our student rep. School is out. Yay, students.
Not quite.
School is some schools.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We do have a couple. When is it, next week? Yeah.
Some kids have to
Next
show up
week
till
here?
Thursday.
Yeah.
But our
Thursday.
student reps come from schools that are closed, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's
We
see,
have
board agenda
elementary
items.
school reps.
What was that? Mr. Helder? I didn't need my fan today. I'm feeling pretty good.
Before I begin, I'm going to be asked later, is Goddess of the Universe an appointed position, or is there some kind of election for that?
We have to ask the ladies at East Hill.
Interim Goddess? It might be interim.
It's a permanent.
You don't qualify.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Tonight, just very quickly, I'd like to go through two topics, if time permits. Superintendent evaluation, and then budget or layoff, depending on what you'd like to call that. As to the evaluation, I wish that the superintendent were here, as I would feel a lot more comfortable speaking to her about her evaluation than just about her without her here. But I certainly understand that the need she has to be elsewhere. And I want it to be known we wish her family well, and I hope she gets a chance to see this. To those who are unaware at home, the superintendent received a very positive evaluation on her job performance. While there's certainly a case to be made that Attila the Hun would have gotten a good evaluation if he had followed Dr. Taylor, I think it'd be pretty flippant to just put it all off to that. The fact of the matter is, the superintendent has done a good job. Ultimately, I think probably Mrs. Neal's best progress is involving her efforts to improve morale of the district employees and to try to restore faith in our district with the community. And she should be applauded for that. But do it after my 3 minutes, okay? While there's certainly a good deal of work that is yet to be done, and I do hear frustration over what is kind of termed the glacial pace at which some decisions are made, I do think it's worth remembering, and I know that I have a number of members at home who are going to watch this, and so I'm asking them to remember that the interim superintendent, interim executive finance director, de facto interim executive director of human resources, and a host of other new appointees are all new to their job and all at the same time. And we are all better off seeing decisions made slowly and correctly after research and thoughtful deliberation than we are seeing things done hastily and without thought. Second topic, I'll make it real quick because I saw the sign. I will restrict myself to simply saying I recognize that there were some issues with the budget this year. Again, new people involved. My concern is regarding layoff of classroom teachers while we continue to invest some of our revenue into practices that perhaps carry a much less valuable instructional impact. One of the problems we've had as a district, and I know everyone here has heard it already, the state average in terms of placing investment into instruction, which is the core business of a district, is about 60% of revenue. Under Dr. Taylor, that was at 40% in Grand Rapids. I'm concerned that laying off classroom teachers will increase class size, and I know that cuts have to be made somewhere. We're getting less money than ever from the legislature. I understand we don't have the money to spend, but it would seem to me that there would be cuts available somewhere that don't directly impact students, or at least impact them less. And I know I'm over my time, so I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything? No?
Superintendent's report?
Yes, while Mr. Lewis and Mrs. Kenyon is coming forward, I'd like to share with you that last week for very brief comments, I think I caught them by surprise. Last week our superintendent traveled to Lansing to receive an award presented by State Superintendent Flanagan to our district, and of course it was in celebration of our Teacher of the Year, Bobby Jo Kenyon, and we have her here for brief remarks, and I'd like to also share the plaque that will be placed in our district in a prime spot, I'm sure, and it says, "You never stand so tall as when you reach out to help a child," and it is in celebration of Bobby Jo Kenyon and the work that has been done, and her recognition of achieving Michigan Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
Board members, President Lenore, Superintendent, I want to thank you for allowing me to come back here again. I feel like I was just here. I'm so excited about this great honor. Tuesday, I had a chance to be at the State Board of Education meeting in Lansing, where I was officially recognized as the 2012-2013 Teacher of the Year. Luckily, we were allowed to leave after the first part because the meetings there go till 4 p.m. But I will also have an opportunity to sit in on these board meetings and participate throughout the year, and I'm very excited about that, not only to represent teachers, but to represent inner city schools, which have a unique set of challenges that need to be represented and need to be spoken about. I also had an opportunity to thank the many people in my life that got me to where I am, including my father, who is my inspiration and has taught 37 years. Other people like my principal, Mr. Lewis, who has believed in me and gave the nomination for this great honor. And Superintendent Neal also was there, and it was great to have that representation from our district as well. The main thing that we really need to focus on is to keep moving forward with our challenges and to keep seeing the successes that we have seen throughout our district, and we have seen a lot here in Ottawa Hills, and we want to keep moving forward. And I know that there's a lot of challenges for our students as the bar keeps raising, but I believe as a whole group, as a collective group, that we can raise our students to meet these new standards and new challenges. I have 3 signs that hang in my classroom for my students to see every day, and I believe these also apply to us as adults, community members who care about our children. And it is, don't give up, make good choices, and failure is not an option.
Right, thank you. Questions or comments for Bobby Jo or Mr. Lewis?
You only have to come back here 23 more times.
I would only add, we're just, in this district and this board, certainly, we're just proud of you and the work you've done. And it just says a lot for this district, and to have this great honor. I mean, you're recognized in the state of Michigan all over, so I'm hearing it as I go into the community, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Under action items, our first action item is the superintendent evaluation. We, members of the board, went through a process with our interim superintendent when she came on board 6 months ago and developed some goals, and we have concluded the evaluation process. And so tonight is the conclusion of that, where the Board of Education will then vote on the evaluation that was created and finalized last week. So if I can have a motion on the table, we can begin the discussion for the superintendent's evaluation.
Motion to approve the superintendent's evaluation.
I support that motion. Right. Discussion? Questions, comments?
Actually, I'd like to take in, I'm sorry, I'm reading something. I'd like to read something, and I'll ask for that first. This has actually been, I think that today is, this meeting tonight is reflective of a lot of great work that's happened in the last 6 months. And I think that when we get to the budget later, and obviously the superintendent evaluation, and I think that we have a pretty fantastic team working together right now, and that includes the efforts of the union presidents to work with the board and the superintendent and her staff as well. This year's superintendent evaluation is unique in lots of ways, and I'd like to read in, one of the things that we needed to take into account as we did this superintendent evaluation. Again, the superintendent didn't start till January, and we weren't necessarily even sure of what we would do to assess the superintendent given the time. But I'd like to read the 4 criteria that we took into account, the distinct context that we had. One is the increased expectations at the state level for evidence of academic growth, and that now the superintendent of school districts is responsible for this. This is state law. Which means that, again, the academic growth is at the utmost importance, and we need to measure that. And we had a unique situation this time around to measure superintendent who didn't start till January, and I think that this evaluation, when people see it, will show that Teresa Neal went to work very quickly to do what she can to increase academic growth. The second context that we had an availability of unprecedented community feedback of the needs for Grand Rapids Public Schools, and this was provided, and I want people to remember this. A lot of people talk about the superintendent's listening tour, which was very fantastic, but we were also fortunate to have community input sessions that occurred in the fall as we were beginning our superintendent search process. And we heard from lots of people throughout the community, lots of constituencies, and we certainly took those into account as we determined and worked with the superintendent and her goals, and also how we evaluated the superintendent. So I think it's very important that the community know that their input was taken very seriously by the board as we evaluated the superintendent. And it was certainly taken into account by the superintendent as she considered how she should proceed. We also had an interim assessment period in a couple ways. We wanted to talk about, we had an interim scenario where the leadership and transparency of the district needed to be reconsidered. And then finally, an assessment of an interim superintendent who needed to have an awareness of all the contexts that were provided above. So it was a difficult time for a superintendent, and a difficult task, a difficult climate with the state laws, with the context of where we were at as a district. And we all knew we needed to work very quickly and together as a team to build a district. And so I feel very proud of the work that was done to create this evaluation. by this board and the superintendent, and I think it's those are when people get to see the full product of the work that the superintendent put together to assess herself, you'll be quite impressed with the level of rigor that we're all taking this work now.
All right. Any other questions? Ms. Slate?
Not a question, but I think we did and I look to Dr. Baker for leading us on this, and really an excellent evaluation of the superintendent. It was very, very thorough. We took all the input from the community. I'm pleased that we listened to our staff, to our parents, to our students. We didn't leave anybody out from any community, and I think we all worked together very closely as a team with hard questions and serious work, and it's just been a real pleasure working with this superintendent. And I want to thank Dr. Baker for his leadership in this role.
Ms. Geetson?
I wanted to take a moment to thank Mrs. Neal in her absence for all the amazing amount of work that she's accomplished in this mere 110 or plus days of pretty significant change. I know Mr. Helder referred to it as glacial, but relatively speaking, I think it was pretty speedy. So I just wanted to thank her in her absence, and I so wish that she was here for this evening. I know she's where she needs to be, but hopefully she'll watch the tape.
Any other questions, comments?
Actually, I want to say one more.
All right.
I just to get again people that won't get a chance to read this, what the evaluation included, and which will be made available, is were several items that were required, a couple of which are unique. One was a superintendent portfolio where we asked the superintendent to write a narrative and provide evidence of her achievement in her 5 goal areas and also the budgeting process. And so these goal areas were academic achievement, culture, and the board felt strongly that we needed to work quickly to improve the cultural climate of the district, collaboration with our community partners. We also knew very well that the community wanted to have reliable communication and collaboration with us. Professional development that assessed how the needs of the staff in the buildings, and that we could provide a better, more efficient responsibility of their needs and accountability overall, and also including the public and the board in the budgeting process. That was evidence was provided in the superintendent portfolio from that. We also took into account quantitative achievement measures, which were, of course, her providing to us an assessment of where the district is at across the board and all levels of the district in all achievement measures that are available to us for us to do. And so the board received unprecedented amount of academic achievement in one single source. And the superintendent worked very difficult, even though, again, she couldn't be held accountable for the academic growth from last year. She took it on herself to improve the participation in the Michigan Merit Exam at the high school level, and worked very hard with their staff to make sure that students improved their scores on that test, and so that work paid off. A third component that was included for the first time, at least in my memory, is a staff and community and collaborator survey that was available to the public with large numbers of responses, and then of course board observations were also taken into account. I'll stop.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Dr. Baker, you sure?
I'm done. I could read. It's
Okay, call the roll.
Geetson, yes. Hoskins.
Yes.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Randalls.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Falb.
Yes.
President Lanier.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Well, we should have added too, for the public, that Dr. Randalls is on the phone in case you haven't figured that out, where this
There she is.
voice is coming from. She's actually out of state, and she's participating via phone
Hiding
tonight.
under Jane's desk.
There she is. Our next action item is policy 8260. It's the bullying policy. We had our first reading on the 11th.
Yes, ma'am.
And so this is our second reading. Mr. O'Connor, would you like to add anything to this policy?
Yep. I think we're good.
Okay. Can you give us a motion? Can someone give us a motion?
Motion to approve the second reading of policy 8260, bullying.
Support.
Any further discussion regarding?
Who said the support, sorry?
Reverend Hoskins. Any further discussions regarding 8260? Okay, call the roll, please.
Geetson, yes. Hoskins?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Randalls?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Slade?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Falb?
Yes.
President Lanier?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Next action item is the revisitation of the motion postponed from our work session on June 11th.
I would like to rescind the motion made on June 11th and replace that motion with the following.
For the record, do you have the previous motion?
Do I have it in writing? Not with me.
Okay, that's okay. We can go back to the other minutes. I just wanted to, yeah, go ahead.
So the motion that I'm replacing this with is, I would like to make a motion that we make an offer to interim superintendent Teresa Weatherall-Neal the role of superintendent of Grand Rapids Public Schools.
Support.
So we have support. We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion, comments, questions?
I'm sorry, I missed who said
Mr.
support.
O'Connor, what's your support?
My
You
ears
can
must
call
be
the roll
going
whenever
bad.
you slow down with writing.
I do have one comment.
Okay.
My comment is, I am absolutely delighted to have had the opportunity to have made this motion. And it's probably the single biggest thing I've had the opportunity to do in my 4-year career on this board. And I'm so pleased with starting this process. So that's my comment. Geetson, yes. Hoskins?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Randalls?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Slade?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Falb?
Yes.
President Lanier?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like a further motion. I would like to make a motion that the board charge President Lanier, Vice President Baker, and Ms. Slade to negotiate terms of a contract and bring a draft back to the board for consideration.
Need support for the motion?
Support.
We have a motion on the floor to have select members of the board to participate in negotiating the contract for Ms. Neal as superintendent. Any discussion?
I think that's a wise group of people.
You want to give us those names again? Oh, you were in. You're good. You're good.
Can I rescind my motion?
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Geetson, yes. Hoskins?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Randalls?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Slade?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Falb?
Yes.
President Lanier?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
I should add, and maybe should have added it during the motion when it was on the floor, but just to kind of follow up, the Board of Education had a discussion on Friday regarding looking into different organizations who could help support us in an endeavor, should we have moved forward with appointing Superintendent Neal as the district superintendent. And we did engage with the Kent ISD, who was the organization who provided the community, what do they call it, community
Input sessions.
input sessions back when we were starting the superintendent search process back in the fall. And so we did go back to them, and we did speak with our legal counsel, did seek out information from the association, the MASB. They were actually out of town and didn't respond back until this morning, but what we are able to do is work with the Kent ISD at no cost to the district to negotiate this contract. And so we will move forward with the Kent ISD. So,
Madam President,
from
I'll add also, just even from a commitment standpoint, you know, I just want to say that Superintendent Neal is committed to this district. You look at all the years of service she's been here, but not only that, even what she's going through right now with her family situation with her mom. I put on my clergy hat. I never take it off, but I put it on even tighter last night and just told her, look, she was going to come in today. And I said, no, you need to be with your family. That's how committed she is to this district. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, so next we have the consent agenda.
I thought that was your do-rag line.
See?
Consent agenda. We need a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, Geetson, yes. Hoskins.
Yes.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Randalls. Ross.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Falb.
Yes.
President Lanier.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Now the long list of discussion items.
Oh, yes.
Cool. So the 2012-2013 board meeting schedule really is about having a schedule between July and December versus all the way through 13. Because of the change, you know, this typically would have been the time to create our calendar for 12-13, but now that we're moving the organizational meeting to January, we don't have anything on our website, any meetings on our website posted, because typically it was a July to June schedule. And so as it stands right now, we have nothing for July through December. And I wanted to bring that to the body to see, you know, we would typically take a one meeting break during the summer because we're also having a retreat sometime during the summer. So I didn't know, and the holiday is on, the 4th of July is on Wednesday. And we also sometimes suspend board meetings that are near holidays. So I wanted to bring that here so that we can finalize the calendar from July through December of this calendar year so that we can update the board's website with that information. Good. Okay. Questions, comments?
Point of order, I guess, do we need to take action to approve approve the calendar for the next 6 months, or after discussion? Is that something we need to approve
I think
typically?
we do have, yeah, we do have to approve it, yeah.
I know we had discussed previously, maybe at our last meeting even, about the July 2nd meeting. I don't know if anyone has, if there's any pressing business we need to get to in July 2nd, or if that's something we could potentially take off the calendar.
Well, now we have, Ms. Neal has requested a meeting for next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what would be pressing between, you know, if we would have those consecutive weeks, but if there's anything, I know purchasing is sometimes a question where we need to make sure that we have those items approved within a certain time frame, but perhaps those things could be brought up next week, Monday, if there was, you know, a need in the event that we did not have the meeting on the 2nd. I guess I'm slightly advocating for not having the meeting on the 2nd, if no one has caught the hint.
President Lanier, does that mean that you don't want a meeting on July 2? Seems like
You said it, Ms.
I'd
Slade.
recommend that we cancel our meeting on July 2, since we will be having a meeting the prior Monday, the week before, and resume it on the 16th. Would that be right?
Yep.
And then we can keep with the same first and third Monday schedule.
Right.
Which is, I think, within our bylaws as well.
And that would give us that month just the 16th.
Okay?
I would make a motion to approve the tentative calendar, excluding the Monday, July 2nd meeting through Monday, January 7th, the subsequent annual organization meeting. for the next cycle of this.
You ended with January 7th?
Yes,
was it?
ma'am.
Okay.
That's where the proposed annual organizational meeting for the next term of elected.
Support.
Any questions, comments? Dr. Randalls, are you trying to say something to us?
No, sorry about that.
That's okay. Did you hear all of that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Did I hear a support? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I support it.
Okay. Any questions or comments regarding that? Okay, you can call the roll, please.
Geetson, yes. Hoskins?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Randalls?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Slade?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Falb?
Yes.
President Lanier?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, so the next item is the 2012 committee extensions. This is similar to the board meetings that, again, our calendar would have ended June 30, so wanted to bring that to the full board for discussion. This may be the time for a committee who may have been thinking of switching a day. You know, I think we meet third Tuesday for education committees, you know, but so anybody could change their schedule at this time if they were interested. So any...
The policy committee probably needs to look at rescheduling theirs. We currently do ours on Fridays, and I know our staff here is on 4/10 now, so there's no point of making someone come in on a Friday here if they don't need to. Not exactly sure when we'll reschedule it, but that's something we will coordinate as a committee.
And that one does not have to go for a vote.
Okay.
So whatever changes you make, if you could just notify the staff and they can send something out, maybe we could, if we can have it done by next Monday,
Yeah,
then everybody could.
we actually have a meeting, I believe, this week, so.
Okay.
Was that the ad hoc committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow. Any other?
I guess I'll make a motion to extend committee assignments through the.
I don't think we need a motion.
Don't need a motion?
No.
Just okay.
This was more for discussion, that one.
I just have a question. In looking at the schedule, I noticed that most of the committees aren't scheduled to meet in July and August, according what's in the packet here. Is that just?
That would have been because, the same reason
Didn't
with
have
our
this
board
discussion.
schedule, it would have ended June 30.
Right.
So now, that's
extend
what
your
this
notice.
discussion
Typically
is
don't
about.
Right,
committees.
but there's
Schedule B.
proposed ones for later. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I don't think they did any proposals for the committees in the event that you may have wanted to change whatever your normal schedule would have been. So what's the finance committee schedule? When do you guys meet?
Well, we typically meet the last Monday of the month. And what's proposed here in the packet doesn't start till September, but I'm assuming we would need to meet, for instance, in July and August as well, so. But anyway, we'll work that out.
Yeah, yes.
I would assume that the Ed Committee would continue to meet the third Tuesday of the month through the summer.
So let's just say all committee chairs, please work with your committees and the staff person that's co-chairing with you on your schedules, and then get that to the BOE assistant email before Monday, and then they can create the new chart with all of the meetings for us. This is all the same. The next one is connected with the extensions. We actually voted on the assignments and extending those, so that was one and the same. So then the fourth item under discussion is the MASB membership. So this is an annual membership that we renew about this time every year. And so you have that in your packet. Any questions or comments? This one, trying to make sure it's not more than one page. So yeah, it's a one-pager in your packet for the MASB membership. Usually during this time, we'll sometimes discuss the National Association as well and whether we may be interested in that, and typically we don't because of the cost associated with that association. Ms. Geetson?
Just in some of my experience, I feel like we gain pretty significant benefit from MASB in education, in legislative support, and in other support as we've gone through the journey with the superintendent search and other things of that nature. I think MASB brings a lot to the table, and the price tag is what I consider fairly reasonable for the services that we receive.
What is the price tag?
It's
$8,624.
Can't see it.
8,600.
Yeah, it is kind of small. You,
Here, I'll make it bigger.
That's all right, just.
86.
Any other questions, comments regarding the MASB?
Do you need a motion, Madam President?
No, I don't believe so.
What was the question?
If we need a motion to approve our.
it.
John is looking to make some motion.
I know. I'm like, I'm about to figure something out.
Keep the ball moving here.
Can I do one now?
Dead airspace isn't, we don't get nothing done. We're not
It's
talking.
7:43. All right. Trying to get out by 8. The next thing on the list
This
then,
might
so,
take
so
all
let me
night.
go back. So any objection, I guess, would be the question regarding MASB. For the new board members, Monica and Reynard, if, I'm not sure, I think Monica, you may have, but I'm not sure about you, Reynard. If you guys haven't taken the 101 class, have you taken that yet? It is an excellent class. I recommend that to any board member. A matter of fact, if anyone else on the board who has not had the opportunity to take the MASB class, the CBA class 101, it is phenomenal. I mean, it really helps kind of jumpstarts things and kind of get you out of the clouds. Yes.
You know, I've taken quite a number of the MASB classes, and I've been really impressed with them. And they help figure out what your role as a board member as opposed to a administrator or to a, you know, what other line of work you're in. You know, it's a different process. So
Yeah.
it's been very helpful.
Okay, so no objection then for the MASB. So we'll get that signed. It comes in the superintendent's name, so we'll get that signed through her office for that. Then the last item is the board retreat dates. We sought out for availability regarding the 13th and 14th, and we were not successful in getting a date, so I wanted to bring the retreat date. This should also say, and agenda items, suggested agenda items here to this meeting. So if you could pull out your calendars, I kind of want to land on a date because it's easier to do it this way than it is to keep going back and forth via email, so. We suggested 2 dates when we were asking for availability earlier, not to say that we'll use both of them necessarily. I think it all kind of depends on what comes back in terms of agenda items from the body. And based on those agenda items, we'll determine if we need both dates. So let's kind of carve out, if we could, 2 dates, keeping in mind that we have people who work full-time outside of their work with the district, so we were, I know, kind of getting into the weekends. So the best of both would have been a Friday and Saturday as the 2 days of the week. Just trying to do a Monday, Tuesday, because that's 2 business days. And I understand, Reverend Hoskins, that Fridays are your day off, but I'm hoping that you'd be willing to.
I always come in on
For the
Fridays for
retreats.
retreats,
Yeah.
so it's not a problem.
Yeah.
No, I did say the 14th that I was available, but after checking my calendar, I'm not. I have a wedding that day to do.
Okay. So let's just go to, I'd say the weekends for July and August and see what we can come up with as a good date. Now, we don't have the advantage of having Superintendent Neal here, and I don't know if there's anyone who could access her calendar. I know you can't, Mrs. Evans, because you don't have any technology with you. But Tina, do you have access to Superintendent Neal's calendar? Okay. So we'll come up with a couple options and see what works for her. So we knew that the 20th and 21st and the 27th and 28th, those weren't going to work. I know that she was out of town or something like that. That's how we ended up with the 13th, 14th, and didn't want to touch the 6th and the 7th, with that being after the holiday, just in case someone was traveling for that week.
Is anyone traveling that week?
I'm available the 6th and the 7th.
I think I'll be back by then.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'll be gone. July 6th, 7th? Yeah, I'll be out of town.
You will be?
I'll be out of town.
Okay. And we
Be out
want
of
to,
town?
we want the dates where everybody could be there.
Is there a
because of-
potential of doing just scheduling a one day and then then maybe seeing how far we get into whatever we need to do, and then
Well, if we-
scheduling a second day, maybe at the end of that day if we.
Yeah, I think if we can come up with, one day that would work for everyone, I think, we just have to make that work, and maybe it'll go longer, but,
We're accustomed to marathon.
wanted to kind of tentatively do, what was that?
I said we're accustomed to marathon sessions.
What was the 13th like? I mean,
13th
I
is
just
good.
couldn't, the 14th wouldn't work for me.
I won't be here the 13th.
You won't be here the 13th? Okay.
So the 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th are out.
If we're only doing the weekday, if we were going to just go for one day, we could potentially just do it on any other day of the week too, if we're going to just try to.
Yeah, if it ends up being just one day,
If we're just going to try to
right.
plan one day, we could
That's
pick
true.
another weekday that would work for all of us.
See, I'm the be safe than sorry type person. That's why I'm like, I want a backup plan, just in case.
I'm out for the middle, from the 9th through the 21st, sorry.
Of July?
July, so.
Oh, okay.
So you're
I
either
would
going to
think
have
that
to
I
do
could
it
meet the
one
week
day
before,
or go into August.
Could we do like a Google Calendar poll? So then we can. Doodle, yeah, so that way we can get all the overlapping, and it'll be pretty obvious what's probably the best date for
I could
everybody.
help with.
I was just gonna say, I know I can't.
I can't. I know that I can't. I'm not even gonna attempt to.
I can, believe it or not.
I can do it.
Really? I'm impressed.
But let Jane do it.
How about, well,
You want to do that?
can we?
Because
at
that
least-
says that if you haven't participated in that, it's a survey where you fill in your available dates, and everybody does that, and then you'll see the overlap, so.
Can we try for a couple dates right now?
Yeah, let's
And see
keep
if-
throwing it out.
I'm
I'm
fairly
available
open,
the 3rd
so.
and 4th of August.
3rd and 4th.
I am not.
4th of August.
Okay, so you're not, okay.
You're not.
So that doesn't work.
10th, 12th? 10th, 11th?
10, 11 is okay for me.
It's okay for me.
So we're looking August 10, 11.
I can do the 10th, not the 11th.
Okay. Do you have the morning available on the 11th?
Sure.
Great.
I'm in a triathlon that afternoon, so I can't think of any better way to spend the morning.
What time are you looking at for the 10th?
On Wednesday?
It'll probably be an all
10th
day.
and 11th of August.
Oh, of August.
And I think
Oh, wait, 10th and 11th.
Mr. O'Connor suggested, we'll try and cram as much as we can into just one day, but I think we should have the backup date kind of carved out on people's schedule just in case.
Does that not work?
I'll do it.
10th.
Is that good for everyone?
I don't have it on my calendar, but I think I'm going fishing that weekend.
Cancel.
Cancel the fishing trip.
It's not on your calendar. We get first dibs.
10th of August is what?
10th of August? Does that sound good for everyone? Sounds good on this side of the table. What about you guys? Yeah? Dr. Baker?
It can be done, yeah.
10th, but I can't do the 11th.
Okay, so in the morning, can you do the 11th? Nothing at all on the 11th?
Yeah, just.
Okay, well, we'll go with the 10th. We'll just hope.
Just the 10th?
Just the 10th?
Let's block the 11th too, for those of us who can make it, and then.
Well, if we were gonna do that, we should have blocked the other ones for those of us that we can make it.
Well, we didn't have a solid day that everybody could. This is the first day that everyone can make it, which is the 10th. So we're gonna keep that and try and carve everything into that date. In the event that we don't get everything in and there's something small, we have the 11th where the majority of the board will be available. So, now for agenda items. In the past, we've also requested agenda items via email. And So I just wanted to bring that to the board table as opposed to trying to collate all of the multiple emails, et cetera, et cetera. So any suggestions, and I will say that depending on the agenda items will also determine the length of the meeting. And some agenda items may be pushed back to committee. We did that last year and other years past, that if it's work that probably is best suited for a committee, that we just push that back to the committee instead of the full board. Dr. Fall?
Two areas that I think I'm very eager for the board to work on and address. And the first is a governance issue. I'm wondering if we could spend time getting direction from somebody on how to direct through policy and to perhaps substantiate our procedures and protocols for the board and for developing policy. And then the second area, I know our superintendent is going to be in the process of developing a 3-year plan. And I think it's essential that the board weigh in early on that rather than be reactive. So, I mean, even the August date feels like it's getting late at that point. So I think that should be a central part of the retreat. And
that's already, I think, something that she's considering.
So I'm wondering, with that, how that should be facilitated, how that should, come about, what kind of information we might get ahead of time to be best prepared for that, since that will be pretty weighty decisions and input that will need to be put in. So I want to make sure that we're prepared, well prepared ahead of time before we do that.
I think that's a good question, and my suggestion would be that if there's information that you may want shared at that meeting regarding this, that you would share that in advance with Superintendent Neal. I think probably the discussion will be more like a brainstorming session, and in that case there wouldn't be anything in advance that would be shared, because you can't share, brainstorm. The purpose of brainstorming is just to throw things out. So if there's anything in particular regarding the 3 to 5 year plan, I think making whatever request to the superintendent in advance of the August 10th meeting would be probably beneficial for Teresa as well as her staff as they're trying to prepare for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering if the whole board, I'm just thinking of things like, I know Mr. Comparens is working on a pretty substantive facilities plan, for instance. I'm just talking off the top of my head. It seems like there's a number of things that the board should have under consideration before we do our brainstorming. So we might want to think about what those are and see if they can't be made available to the board.
Just send you input ideas that we might want covered in the retreat, or do you need them all right now?
Well, not necessarily. I was
Okay.
just asking because we were going to discuss the schedule, so if you have anything now, that would be great.
Well, I think you and I
At
have
some
talked.
point, we will have a cutoff date so that we can prepare for those items, but I think whatever you'd like to share tonight is fine, or you can email, as you think of things.
I would like to go along with Dr. Falb and say that I really think we need to look at a governance issue in our committee structures and
committee structure,
and I don't know how long ago that was looked at. It seems like when I left here in '93, we were using the same committee structure, so I suspect it's the same one. But I think it might be time to examine that to see if that's the best way to function. It may very well be. I don't have a preconceived notion on it, but I think it would be worthwhile to look at all of our board procedure, but a committee structure as well as governance.
Okay. Anyone else? Do I see your hand, Reverend Hoskins?
No.
Okay. Well, let's say probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if you can share whatever ideas, you can share those with me, I guess, and I can put them all into one document and share back with everyone else as we're trying to plan and create an agenda for the retreat for August 10th. Which, let me add too, with your, Dr. Falb and Ms. Slade, that your 2 agenda items, we may need outside support for some of our board, some of the board agenda items. So I'll see where we can get free support.
It's always a good idea.
We actually have MASB did some board governance last year, or last school year, I don't remember now. Maybe a year ago or something like that.
Last year.
And we have one session left that we never used, because we transitioned the board, and then we transitioned superintendents and some other things that were more pressing than coming together. So I can find out if that's still available, and if they can come, that may be something that they can come to do.
Also, the ISD, Mike Washburn and Kevin have also offered assistance with board governance structure, and I think that Mike's perspective, since he knows us well, it'd be nice to have him. I mean, obviously we need to talk to him, decide what we want, and then talk to him ahead of time about what to prepare, but spending a couple hours with him I think would be very useful.
Okay. Dr. Randalls, you have any comments or questions?
No, governance and committee structure, those were two that I was interested in as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have one thing that I'd like to discuss there that we shouldn't necessarily need any outside help on. I know at the end of the school year there's often sort of disruption amongst teaching staff as far as where they're going to be, what's going to be available, and just every year I know for many years it's been an issue as far as timeliness in regards to notice and things of that nature. And Mr. Hilder sort of alluded to it in that, of course, there was a lot going on this year, and to some extent that justifies maybe some of that lack of timeliness. But this is sort of a yearly thing, and I think we owe it to the largest employment group in the district to figure out a way to be more strategic and more timely with how we do end of the year notices. I think it really is extremely disruptive for the educational process, and I think it's on us to begin to figure this out a little more soundly, I guess, to be frank. So
I can't speak on behalf of Superintendent Neal fully, but I do know that what she has communicated with staff throughout the district is that she would, by June 30, release assignments.
Yeah, I understand
So
that. I understand that, but I think
she's
that's
still planning to meet
Yeah.
the June 30 deadline, and it's
Yeah,
my
and-
understanding that's earlier than years past.
Well, we need to be
So-
even earlier than that, though.
I think that's
Even earlier
principal
than June
assignment.
30?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I think that may be tough with budget, because of the budget.
Well, again, though, that's why it's
The
on this
budget.
body to figure that out, though.
That's right.
All I'm saying is
Yeah.
I think that's inappropriate, and we
Discussion.
need to do better. So please put that on there for the retreat discussion.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Public comment, non-agenda items. Mr. Helder?
In Southeast Asia, there's the phrase white elephant is a little different than it is here. There it refers to the tradition of someone in high power giving an actual white elephant to someone below them as an honor that was really a punishment because of the enormous expense involved in care and feeding for the elephant. It's come to my attention that Miss Kenyon, Bobby Joe, our Teacher of the Year, her victory, if you will, her recognition, her appointment, could become a bit of a white elephant for her. Apparently, part of her responsibilities as Teacher of the Year is that there's a fair amount of travel, and that travel happened nationally. And there's no budget for that, so that expense comes entirely out of her own pocket. I don't need to go into a soliloquy about wages or anything like that to explain that for anyone, could become a difficult honor to be able to afford. So I looked as I came up here. I see Miss Kenyon's not here. If she's watching at home, or if someone sees her at home, before I find her phone number and give her a call, Bobby Joe, you should probably contact your association to maybe talk to them about defraying some of those costs.
Very nice.
To extend and clarify my earlier remarks, the comment around glacial decision-making by our interim administrators was not related to work on morale change, but rather was a comment regarding the slow progress regarding a host of business decisions on issues like Sunbelt, evaluations, and the topic I'd planned to address tonight, bargaining. The GRE contract states that the first date of bargaining will be no later than March 1st of the year in which it is scheduled to expire. In February, I began asking for bargaining dates. We have yet to hold a bargaining meeting. The way that it looks right now with calendars, and I want to be clear, there's been, I don't know, 6 different changes in as far as who the district's lead bargainer is going to be. So that's part of the issue, and we understand that. We really do. Again, I stated it earlier, I stated it again, we'd much rather see the process go slow and be correct and have everybody prepared and at the table and ready to bargain than to see something thrown together and be a waste of everyone's time or worse yet, result in animosity. So I do need, though, to bring it to the board's attention that at this point, we're running into an issue. Clearly, we won't make the deadline for a finished contract by the end of the month. In fact, our annual business meeting, which is a 2-week-long affair, takes place in another week. So we're looking at mid-June, or excuse me, mid-July, before we actually get our first meeting in. So I just, what I'm saying at this point is, if you're frustrated there isn't a contract, I understand that, but we haven't had any meetings. And when the district's team is ready and we can coordinate that, we think that the meetings will be productive and that resolution should be swift. So hang in there, try not to get too frustrated, and to the people at home who keep calling me wanting to know how bargaining's going, but please don't. All right, give me till mid-July and then call me. All right, thank you.
Superintendent comments?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add?
Yes, Mrs. Lanier, I just wanted to comment on Bobby Joe Kenyon's recognition. The superintendent has offered up to $15,000 to cover the cost of her travel. We don't want her to see her recognition as a white elephant. We do appreciate her leadership in the district. We also would like to thank those people, those individuals who are involved in summer school. It was our first day today, and it started off very quietly and smoothly. And Mrs. Neal would also like to thank all of you who participated in or provided feedback on her evaluation. And her cabinet would just like to say to keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Dr. Randalls, you have any comments?
No comment.
I just would like to read a quote. The task of leadership is not to put greatness into humanity, but to elicit it, for the greatness is already there. And I think this is a quote by John Buchanan. I think it really summarizes the skill that Mrs. Neal possesses in drawing out the talent that's been resident in many, many people for many, many years. And I'm so grateful to see the energy and enthusiasm coming back into this district, and I'm just delighted for her leadership. By that token, I'd like to make sure that she knows that our family has her in our thoughts and prayers as she travels this journey with her mother. And one comment about the budget that we just passed was much of that is contingent on a budgeted 600 student loss, and those same great people that are in this district can definitely have a positive influence on that number being much smaller, and that will keep many more teachers employed and make this a better district if we can reduce that student loss. And I, for one, will be selling the benefits of GRPS to my friends, neighbors, and coworkers, because my children are getting an excellent education in Grand Rapids Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lee? Comment. Mr. Ross?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Baker?
Yeah, I'd like to, to just make it known, even though we didn't discuss it because it was in the consent agenda, the budget that we passed tonight, that we adopted. It's been much, I mean, given the fact that we've lost a lot of resources, I think that we didn't lose as much as we could have because of support and work on John Helmholt and the legislative committee. And some legislators who worked on behalf in Lansing. However, Lansing we need more funds, and districts are really struggling, and we're fortunate that we're able to do what we've done today. But we passed a budget, working with the superintendent, that restored many programs that had been cut previously. So we are restoring much of the arts and music that we lost a couple of years ago. We have restored more teachers to the classroom. The superintendent and the board and the staff grappled with, teaching staff and administrative staff grappled with how to do what we're doing. So I was asked yesterday, how is the district doing? And we passed this budget with all of us grappling together and trying to come up with the best solutions, and we restored cuts. And it's going to be difficult to maintain this. We have to do a lot of work next year to do that. And we did all that while with a lot of interim staff, as Paul Helder said earlier, and while morale and faith in the district were improving. So it's been, I'm thinking that in all of my years sitting here on this date, the final meeting in June has been quite difficult, and this makes me, I feel pretty solid about being a part of this team now. So thanks.
Dr. Fogg?
Well, we are pleased with our superintendent, and there's a lot to be pleased about. And the evaluation tool demonstrates that and articulates it, as does Ms. Neal's portfolio. But going forward, we need to keep our expectations high and rigorous for the superintendent. We need to keep them high and rigorous for ourselves and for everybody in this community and in this district charged with educating the children of Grand Rapids. There's much work to do ahead, so move forward.
Reverend Hoskins?
I echo those comments. We do have a lot of work to do, but we're, I believe, headed in the right direction. And I, too, will have my thoughts and prayers going forward for the Neal Weatherall family.
I am excited. I'm tired, actually, today, but I'm really excited about Superintendent Neal and the idea that this board is moving forward with giving her a superintendent contract. Excited for her, and very pleased with her evaluation, and look forward to the new GRPS and all the work that all of us will have to do in order to get to that place. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.